Are you at the Coalina?
No, I'm in the Bahamas.
I
You know the
heard the like the Coalina, they're like blocking off all of the parking lots for the locals.
brother. Did you see the news?
I sure did.
And do you know without having to do anything, he got approved the second test?
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Don't have to do nothing.
Yeah. The only difference is that they won't be subject to quarantine. So it's kind of an interesting deal when you think about it. So get the visitors will come in on a big island. They're gonna be required to take a test. By the
Mm.
way, welcome everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live with Mel and Charlie. Yeah, we never even say hi. Um,
Yes.
I'll make sure I get all my stuff going here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Is it hot there,
Uh-oh.
bro? Is it sunny? You got a nice.
It's hot and it's starting to rain. Starting to rain. Uh-oh. I forgot to put suntan lotion. Gee, golly.
Uh, yeah. Make sure you cover up there, Charles. Make sure you cover up. Oh, now you disappeared, bro. Yeah, that's the only thing with that backdrop. Yeah, you look, he disappeared. The vanishing
Uh,
man.
no, no, no. There I am.
But anyway, for those of you that wondering what the heck we're talking about, today the governor approved Mayor Harry Kim's second test protocol. Um, the only caveat is that those guys that come in will be required to take a test, but they will not be required to go to quarantine. So interesting because now, depending on how quick they can turn that test around,
Yeah.
if they can turn it around in a day, then they should catch. We can only hope that those that are positive, that are exempt from quarantine, will not be going out and spreading the virus. So
Well,
um,
well,
interesting.
here's one thing, brother. A large a large cluster, I guess, at the University of University Nations. I guess that special place. And my understanding, I haven't been able to confirm it, but from what I hear, those who tested positive are all individuals that came from the outside in. So
Yeah,
what at a, would have been helpful if would have been helpful if they had a test at the airport, right? Could have,
absolutely.
yeah.
I don't know what the governor is going to do with Derek's plan. I think Harry Kim's plan is kind of like proactive because we're trying to catch him before the virus counts rise. And Derek's on. We basically gonna wait for cases to pop up. I mean, it's still better than the nothing. But we'll see. We'll see what the governor does. It. I had a doctor friend of mine message me today, and he's worried. He's worried because Derek's plan will work only if we are able to contain and treat and contact trace any positive virus cases. And I think that's the concern of many people, is that we don't have that ability. That in fact the state, if you saw the news last night, you saw the major issues with our contact tracing program again. I mean, and it doesn't matter how many people you get hired. It doesn't matter how many people you have on the phones. The bottom line is that if you don't have if you're not those employees, those poor employees are not given the resources and the tools, then they're not going to be able to do their job. And I was kind of concerned. I was kind of concerned that when I saw that last night, when they spoke to that contact tracer who said that the information comes in. Sometimes there is no information. Sometimes it's blank. Sometimes they gotta wait for the paper report to come in. Sometimes they gotta call the doctor's offices. I mean, how you expect to get these the contact tracers through their cases if in fact uh, we cannot get to them within that first 24 hours. And if we're going to take, you know, an hour, half an hour, 45 minutes just to make find out the contact information of the person that you need to contact. So we got a lot of work to do. And again, I think we're just not ready. We're just not ready in all facets. Kauai, we're not ready because we just don't have the medical resources. You know, we just don't have bed space. We don't have ventilators. So we can get overwhelmed relatively quickly with a very small cluster. So
Well, I have, you know, I think our mayor is aggressive enough that I think he'll push the envelope to get the contact tracer in place. That's what I believe. And he won't sit, he won't sit back. He'll make sure that if somebody take on test, that damn thing is filled out, name, address, phone number, email address, date of birth, shoe size, you know, the size of your head, everything, what color socks you like. He gonna make sure you get all of that in place.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and he set the threshold low enough, very low enough, so that we're gonna be able to contain it. I really believe that
yeah,
it'll work out. It'll work out, and I just hope the governor approves them. I really do, because I think that even if we were to get five, uh, and remember, this five doesn't have to come from visitors. It doesn't say five visitor cases. It's five cases in general. Remember, the visitor is not the only ones that can transmit this virus.
right.
Uh, so the number I think is low enough that we'll be able to
Jump on it right away.
isolate it, secure it, and get those people where they need to be, whether it's the isolation facility or um, in a hospital.
You know what the
So
good thing about it is, though, Mel, because everybody on Kauai, pronounce it correctly, everyone on Kauai, they are so in tune with what we're trying to do, and everybody is taking stake. They have a true investment in keeping our Aina as clean as possible. So I think the people themselves are the one to be congratulated as well, because just by reading the comments, they're staying on top of it. Nobody is falling by the wayside. Everybody is making it the business to know what must be done, because gang out there, if something should happen to Mel and Charlie, I know one of you guys gonna pick up and run with the ball. You're just not gonna let them fall flat, and that's the good thing. That is the good thing.
yeah, we got a lot of you guys asking who's on tonight. I apologize. It's Angela Keen from Hawaii Quarantine Kapu Breakers. She'll be on tonight to bring us up to speed on all that is happening with not just her organization, but with many other agencies that she's in constant contact with throughout the week. She's worked really hard working with legislators and everybody and department heads and attorney general's office. So she'll be on tonight to give us an update of all that's going on. And people are asking about, wait a minute, did Hawaii, Big Island get approved? Yes, Big Island did get approved for their test, their second test. But again, their proposal was different from ours. Theirs is they will be requiring a second test, but they will not be requiring quarantine. So visitors that'll come in, they will be tested, but they will be free to go. And should they test positive, I hope they get one good contact tracing program. I hope the Big Island can find these people after they leave the airport, because as you know, Big Island is a big place. And we even here on Kauai, as good a system we have, we still get people sneaking through because they're using false addresses
Yeah.
or they're checking in someplace, staying a night, and then checking out and bailing. So remember now, these people on the Big Island will not be subject to quarantine, so they'll be free to go wherever they want. So we can only hope that they're gonna put the right information on their form or their app, whatever they decide to use. Because if that test comes back positive, then the cat and mouse game begins. And I just hope the Big Island is ready for that. That's why Derek's one, because it's based on a number. It really doesn't matter what the visitor does, because once we hit that trigger, the 14-day quarantine is reinstated immediately. And that's why I think that the governor will not approve it. That's why I think that the governor will not approve it, but
I
we'll
just
see.
I just thinking about the big thinking the test come back positive. The contact tracer goes, okay, where did you see him last? Okay, car 52. He's up in Kohala. Where is that? Oh, he's now in Hilo now.
Yeah, yeah,
The island is so big. They're going back and
huge,
forth all day.
huge. We're
And
looking,
then
we're looking for a, we're looking for a male Caucasian, female Caucasian, 52 years of age, blonde hair, blue eyes, aloha shirt, and shorts and flip flops. Yeah, that
no,
narrows it down.
they're gonna be going all over that island. So big. And then at the end of the day, they come in office. Well, gang, how'd you do? Couldn't find them.
Hey,
I sorry.
Diane just
Sorry.
reporting from Vegas. Diane Castillo reporting from Vegas. She's coming home on the 18th. CVS test for her at CVS, $130. $130 she's gonna have to pay to come home, to come visit. So anyway, thanks for the info, Dan. It'd be interesting to see the various prices that people will be paying to get over here. We saw the airlines prices. The airlines prices, my gosh, some of the airlines charging $250 um, if you want them right away. I mean, really? Come on, people. Every
I heard
opportunity,
one kid.
every
I heard
opportunity.
one kid that you're supposed to take the saliva, but the kid contests of this little pouch and and I guess one one roll of toilet paper that thing stayed back in there.
Oh, we lost your audio, bro. We lost your audio.
Hey, how you doing here?
Okay.
What's going on? I cannot. I hear some
Can you hear me
background.
now?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
unbelievable. I'm just trying to catch up some of the comments while we wait for. Does Medicare cover the test costs? I don't think so, but maybe you can help me if anybody knows. Are Big Island arrivals test free? I don't know. I'm gonna have to go watch the news. I'm not sure. It sounds like the Big Island, the county will be doing the test, so I would assume that it's free. Hawaiian Airlines went up in airfare. Um, I I think that was expected. I think, as you know, remember, guys, it's a supply and demand, right? Like anything, if the more supply, I mean, the more demand for the limited supply that you have, the price will go up. That's just how it works. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would expect all airfares to go up, not just Hawaiian. But and remember now, on top of that increased airfare is the cost of the test. So it's not gonna be cheap, but it's sure as heck better than spending 14 days in a hotel room. And that's the scary part, because now, just like anything else, I mean, we all been kind of confined to our kind of limited areas. And if we the day that we all get turned loose, the day that we can enjoy ourselves free from COVID, I think a lot of us are gonna jump for joy and go places that we haven't gone in a long time, just in pure appreciation of the freedom. And I think a lot of these people that are be coming from the mainland is just exactly what they're going to do. The last place they're going to want to stay. Remember, they're coming from places that are potentially hot, and they got restrictions, and they're going to come to a place where there's relatively no restrictions, and they're not going to spend all that money to come here and be cooped up. So yes, while they will spend some time on the beach, paid $1,000 for coach. Oh my God, way safer in the back of the plane. Offered first upgrade. I said thanks, but no thanks. Well, $1,000. I'm not sure where you're coming from uh, on Hawaiian, but if you could share that, that would be interesting. Where is it $1,000 to fly from? So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to be extremely careful, folks. Us as local residents here, is once this date opens up, make sure that we are protecting ourselves the best we can.
Yep.
really, because this thing can get out of control really, really quickly. You know what's interesting? Today, Honolulu, I mean, Hawaii, the numbers went back up, triple digit, higher. And the lieutenant governor in his briefing says, we're in great shape. We're in great shape. Um, I don't know where you get the great shape from because our numbers are climbing. We had two more people die today. Go tell their families that we're in great shape. Go tell the doctors and the nurses that have been treating these people and have to watch these people die. I have the truly the utmost respect and appreciation for our frontline workers, our doctors and our nurses. You know, Charlie, how many times have you, and I hate to bring this up because it's morbid, but how many times have you saw or been present when someone died as well you were as a police officer? I'm not talking about your, you know, your family who was sick and you're at the bedside. That's traumatic. But you know, when you respond to a traffic accident or you respond to a medical call and you watch the person that you may not really know, not related to, but you know, you create that in that very short period of time, you create the bond and you watch them die. I'm telling you, uh, these people are seeing this every day. These
Well,
people are seeing this. So while obviously the patient that passes away, their families, all of these nurses and these doctors, these staffers, the people that come in to clean the room that get to know these humans, and then only to see them die. And so yeah, go tell them that we're in good shape at 100 and whatever cases we had today. Go tell them that.
well,
Seriously.
for me personally, I think the best way I can describe it is as a investigator with the medical examiner's office. I average between 367 to a little over 400, close to 450 deaths a year myself. So that means I had seen every single one of those bodies. And,
Yeah.
let me tell you, it is not easy, especially when they call us and say the person just passed away and we have to go to the hospital because one of the requirements is if they die within 24 hours of admission to a hospital, it's an ME's case, we have to go in. Now, if the person has, you know, known medical history, then that's one thing. But the way I see it is, once your loved one, I mean, you can see the life leaving the person, and you can see how it affects everyone around there. So it's not an easy thing. Um, I've been very very fortunate to get a lot of thank you letters from families because of my demeanor at the scene. Because you know a life is a life, and I take it very very seriously. That when someone leaves, I hurt just like the family members are hurting. It's not an easy thing, boy,
Yeah.
not at
It
all.
never is. It
And
never
then
is.
somebody had asked me, you go through it so many times. How do you debrief? How do you unwind? And I don't know. I mean, I gotta say, the first year, I turned to drinking really bad because that was the only thing available. Because I don't do drugs, you know, and but it was terrible. And so you just gotta just learn to cope. And then when you start knowing that you're doing good for others, that's sort of like the relief. And sometimes you ask me, "Oh, bro, how come you smiling?" Because that's my defense mechanism. Because death is not easy. Sometimes you have to smile. I mean, you know that. You talk to other homicide detectives, they'll tell you. They have a very dry sense of humor, and they don't mean no ill intent to anyone. It's just that that's their coping mechanism.
Yes, sir. I remember those days quite well. Remember those days quite well. And Angela is popping in right here.
Oh yes.
The H. What the heck is an H? Either that or it's a helipad. That's where the helipad land. You know, in your on top of your aircraft carrier. That's what the helipad look like on the top of the
No,
hotel or the
the H
hospital.
the H stands for hello.
Well, I don't know where she's at.
Here I am. I'm here. Hold on one second.
Oh, she put in on makeup. She put in on makeup.
Ooh, fancy you, Look at you got the palm trees doing the trade wind hula. Ooh,
But
look at you,
I
fancy.
forgot to put on my suntan lotion. It's kind of hot right now.
Oh, brother, you don't need no suntan lotion. Nah, no need.
How
Look,
are you, my dear? How are you?
this is my new here. This is what I wear when I'm outside of this room as of today. Can you see it?
Wow.
I'm feeling like Star Wars. So my husband was exposed, and
Oh,
even though I had it, and we're questioning now whether he had it, we have to be careful because we don't know. You don't know whether it's a possibility that you could get it again. And it's been 6 months, 7 months. So yeah,
Wow.
oh.
interesting
Well,
time.
everybody, it's Angela Keen, Hawaii Quarantine Kapu Breakers. She's become very, she was popular back in the day as a newscaster. She was so popular, and then she kind of
In the 90s. I'm
went
old.
away a little while. She did her own thing, and now she does weddings and all kinds of stuff. But now she's resurfaced in the public eye. Uh, Founder of Hawaii Quarantine Couple Breakers, who we all are very well aware of now. We appreciate so much because they are the leading investigators of quarantine breakers actually throughout the state.
I
And
think you are too.
well, but beyond that, um, Angela has been
In the
so
90s. I'm old.
oh, there you go. Busted. You're watching
Sorry.
yourself.
No, I have to see the comments, and the dog just came in, so
Well,
we might see an
good,
appearance from Scooter. Mm-hmm.
good. So if you watch the comments, and I don't have to. But in addition to busting quarantine breakers, Angela has been very hard at work, working with legislators, department heads, community groups, everybody, to try to make some change. I mean, we all doing our part, and I'll let Angela share with what all the stuff that they're doing. But Angela, just the people are frustrated because the wheels of government moves so slowly, and yet there's so many indications from experts in the field telling us what we should be doing, and we're not. And so the frustration is mounting as we get closer to October 15th, which is less than a week away. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, and you can
Oh
share
boy.
with us all the good stuff. I see you in the news every day now. I see more of you and less of the lieutenant governor. That says something.
It's been interesting times. I think my husband said he saw me on more networks locally and nationally in newspapers than I ever did in my 20-year news career, which is interesting. But I always knew that I wanted to do something to help people. And being a news reporter was challenging for me because of that. So when I found health and medical reporting, it was a win-win because I could do the kind of news that would actually help people. And so I've always been drawn to health and medicine. And there was a time when I left news that I got into marketing, and then I got into physician recruiting and got to know physicians. And I'm a nerd, so I read the journals, the medical journals and everything. And so when this came around, there were two things that came up. One was very exciting because I could do investigations and find people. But as we grew into this couple breakers, I realized that it really is my kuleana, not just from the standpoint of keeping Hawaii safe, but being an educator. And then from there, all those years, man, I got to know some really good people. And every time I call, they never put down the phone. I mean, they answer, which blew me away. So those three things, that makes such a big deal for me. And as of late, I've been very open about the 7.5 weeks that I struggled with the respiratory COVID and pneumonia and all that stuff. So it's getting more real for me. We don't just get quarantine breakers anymore. We have to be a point where we're not being reactive. We have to be proactive. And I had to actually shut down my phone today or not my phone, but my Facebook today, because I had so many people trying to reach me for questions and for help and for reporting people. And I had to put it on pause for a while because what's happening now is we have to focus on October 15. I can't scramble. I got to run. I got to hit the ball running. So what happened this week was many things.
Share this,
Okay?
please
Yeah,
share this real
share.
quick. Share it, because I have a feeling this is going to be some gut wrenching testimony. All
There's
right.
there's there's some stuff that happened this week that really blew me away. And as I told my team today, we're moving mountains inch by inch. And that's a big deal in Hawaii because you know how big our ko'olau are here on Oahu. It started with I took interest in this wonderful, amazing, eclectic epidemiologist by the name of DeWolf Miller, Dr. D, who likes to be called D. And we can communicate well. And I started to learn some things from him that I didn't learn from some of the new timers because he's an old timer epidemiologist. And I felt that he was a great asset to the community, and it's already proving to be true. And then from there, we connected with Honolulu City Councilman Tommy Waters, vice chair of the council. And he got wind of what was going on. I had a meeting with his staff for almost, God, I think it was, Mandy, was it 2 hours? Oh, she had the patient of a state and she had kids at home, and it was just, wow. So she listened and she shared. And then they said, will you come testify for his bill 2253, I believe it is, to urge the governor to do something about what's coming up with October 15th because we need more than one test. And that was the first time I said publicly to an outside audience other than my Facebook friends that I am a COVID survivor. It almost took my life. It almost took my job. It took my job. I found another one here. It sometimes ruined my mental health. And I still have symptoms of the insomnia and the ear ringing and ear infections and all different kinds of respiratory stuff. And I just keep going. We have to, because we have 6 days away. So we all gave testimony. And because of all the testimony, and I know all of you out there are watching, I know you testified. I know you did because I heard it. We got unanimous from the council. And, you know, I got a last minute after discussion with Tommy. Thank you, Tommy, for that, because his calendar wasn't open until October 14. But I got him in 5 minutes and he gave me all of his time last night to talk. And it really meant the world to me because I felt like we were getting somewhere, and it wasn't just testimony from Honolulu, it was testimony from all over, including you guys. So that meant the world to me, but I was able to share with him some of the things that happen on Oahu with law enforcement and the way things are, and how the whole system is backwards, how there's no education, and there's no law enforcement, and things just don't happen immediately here. It's like this, it can take 3 days to catch a quarantine breaker, and people will ask me within hours what's going on. I'm like, I'm not going to find out until a couple of days, but check back with me because there's a lot of investigating that goes on. But I think at that point we started to move mountains, and Tommy requested that I work with his staff in writing a bill. So we are going to proceed on that. And things don't happen fast in city government or state government. It may happen in the days after the 15th, but it's going to happen. And I think we're all shaken right now because we all know that we want more than one test when people arrive. And it's not happening, and it's not going to happen. And if we continue to focus on we want more than one test and we don't do anything else, come October 15, we're stuck. So I'm looking at plan B and plan C. If you don't look far ahead and you keep stomping your feet and putting your hands up in the air like, it's not going to happen, do something. That's what we are all doing. You, Mel, and Charlie, that's what I'm doing. I had to pick myself up and say, is this quarantine breaker more important, or are the thousands of quarantine breakers more important down the road? And that's what I chose. So if you don't get a call back from me today, or an email back from me, or a text message back to me, that is why. Because I'm looking down the road for all the health, because as we approach the 15th, every day, the numbers of visitors are going to keep going up, and we have to find something to stop that and quell that. And I'm not saying stop tourism, because I love tourism. I depend on it. But we need to be safe and we need to have a system. So the other thing that happened today was probably the most active, first active person was Donovan Dela Cruz, Senator Donovan Dela Cruz, and the Senate COVID committee. And I can never say enough things about them because they've done everything that we've asked for, they've given us. And so things are happening. When I was in my last meeting with them, I will tell you all that there was somebody very important in that closed door meeting. No one else was in there except me and the state auditor. And you know what the state auditor does. Do you guys know? Can you share a little bit about what you know that they do to the public?
Audit.
Yep.
They audit.
And it's not numbers. It's not just numbers. It's conversations. It's how do you do this? It's what do you do? It's when do you do it? How do we get to this? Who is involved? What departments do what? What is lacking? What's not happening? And we spoke for 2 hours that day. And today I spoke with Les for 1 hour. The guy's a genius. He's a genius. He's very receptive. And, you know, we get on the conversation. I'm like, wait, I got to interject something. You know, it was a conversation that was that important. And we went from A to Z. And I do have a plan. I've always had a plan, but things always change. So I have to keep going back to that scratch paper and scratching things out and writing things down. And one thing that he and I agreed on today was from the beginning, there was no plan. There was no plan. The plan was to prevent people from, the plan was just to prevent tourists from coming here, just to discourage them. That's all they wanted. And everybody knows that. Don't we all know that? But some of us saw a bigger picture. Some of us saw that we know that Pacific Islanders, Native Hawaiians, people of color, minorities are at a higher risk because of their comorbidities. Comorbidities is more than one disease. When you have diabetes and you have heart disease and you have lung disease and you're a smoker, you know, high blood pressure, all these things make a person with COVID extremely vulnerable, because it is a vascular disease. It's not just a lung disease, it's a vascular disease. It affects your heart, it affects your brain, it affects your eyes. The vessels in your eyes, if they're red, they call them COVID eyes. Anything that needs blood and oxygen in your body is at risk with COVID. And these are the people that, you know, they have those conditions and then suddenly they have a heart attack or their lungs fail or their kidneys fail. They were already bad, but COVID just raises it up a notch and causes that crash to happen. That's why I'm vested in this. And I don't want anybody in Hawaii to have to experience, you know, what Charlie has experienced. That can't happen anymore. It can't happen anymore. Nobody's a number. So Les and I talked and he said, yeah, we didn't really have a plan, did we, Angela? And I said, no, they didn't have a plan. It was basically putting, as I said in the newspaper, I think I told Allison Schaefer's, we're putting Band-Aids on it with no sticky on it, right? You're just kind of putting it on and it falls off. You put it on and it falls off. And we were out there.
It's the little Band-Aid. You know, when you buy a sorted box and you run out of the normal size and you end up with that little one. That's the one they're using because they ran out of the
no more sticky. No more sticky.
And it's so old that it doesn't stick.
It just falls off. Yeah. So that's really the way I feel with this situation. And so Les and I had lots of good long talks, and I made some recommendations to him. I said there needs to be a task force. And this conversation also went on with Dr. DeWolf Miller. We talked about it and he said, you know, your job is really important because the few that are out and about could actually be asymptomatic and positive. And those are the people that you want to catch. Those are the people that need to be in the paddy wagon and giving their $2,000 fine cash, right? Because they're the kind of people that are flooding all over the place. He believes that quarantine breakers are key right now for some reason. That's in his heart, and probably because there's not a whole lot we can do about the tests until we get the tests. So my recommendation to Les was, I think that the AG's office, I know that the AG's office needs CARES Act funds, and they can bring on these Aloha officers or retired police officers or whatever and have them ready to go. And sometimes it's just a deterrent, not catch them after, but be at the hotels, be at the airport to answer questions, watching people get into the Uber to go to the hotel, watching people walk into the hotel. And we're not going to know. We're not going to know come October 15. We're not going to have a magic spyglass that's going to say that guy's positive, that guy's negative. So it's not going to just be enforcement. It's going to be preventative, right? So we thought, well, how many of you out there have been to Vegas? I'm probably going to get lots of answers. I like to stay at the Golden Nugget. But if we go to the Golden Nugget, we have to put our card key to our room, and it goes into the elevator and you go up to your floor if you're on that one tower, right? The whatever, the gold tower or whatever. And if you don't have that card, you can't get in the elevator. So we thought maybe if there's an attendant that is in their their protective gear with their visor and everything, that person would be letting people in and out, and they'll have a checklist with their name, with the database, and they go in there, and that's where they are. And on the floor where people have to quarantine, who didn't want to take the test or who don't want to quarantine, or whatever reason, they'll be there. There'll be educational material. Well, there should be educational materials in the hotel room. There should be posters, reminding people. There could be an officer at the end of the hallway, an Aloha officer or whatever. But also what's important, stepping back, is that plane ride here. The plane ride has to have videos and materials and brochures and rack cards about what happens when you come to Hawaii. There has to be information in different languages. There has to be a video. And people need to understand what this is all about and why Hawaii is so caught up in this whole thing, and why. What is it? What do we live and breathe here in Hawaii, right? Aloha, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Supposed to
And
be.
right. But if you know the Olelo Hawaii, alo, the first half of the word, it's being in the presence of someone important or someone that means something to you. Ha is the breath of life. And we know that when Kanaka Maoli meet, they bump noses, they express their ha to each other. It's their na'au, it's their energy, it's their breath of life. COVID has stolen that from us, yeah? And what other place has breath in their name, aloha, or in their most common word that we speak, the word that everybody knows, ha? That is why it is so important to us. And so he and I talked today, and we were talking about all these things, and I think we came up with some pretty solid plans. And I also want to say, God bless him, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green, Dr. Green. He has good intentions, and I want you to remember that. He's having a pretty tough time right now. He's got thousands of people that message him, not just us right here. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this state has his phone number, and it's going bang, 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 bang. And, when he comes in with a plan and his teammates say, sorry, bud, we don't have any tests for you. What are you going to do? You're going to run the program. What would I do? I'd go crazy, right? So I'm hearing some rumblings that some things are happening behind the scenes, but it may not happen October 15. And people just need to keep that in the back of their mind. So we're just going to have to be very, very, very proactive. I'm not going to protest. I'm going to continue to protest, but I'm not going to keep focusing on that October 15 day, because that's not going to get me anywhere. It's not going to get any of us there, But all I can say is there was great conversations in the last couple of days, and these people are willing to move mountains for us and to help us and to band together because they all believe in it. I saw Kauai, and Kauai had the council, didn't they approve unanimously today? Is that right?
They came out with a statement. They came out with a, yeah, they basically wrote a letter. They didn't have enough time, they said, to do a resolution. But they basically sent a letter. Um, they released a letter that supported Derek's plan that was rejected by the governor. So, I mean, the new plan, I mean, the new Derek's new plan is really what we need the support for now. You know, I do not see the governor retracting his denial of the original plan.
Yep.
That's simply not going to happen, and it's frustrating. And I know you talked about the tests, and they don't have tests. The reality is they do. The reality is the tests are available. The reality is Kauai, we have our tests, and
Yep,
it has
you do.
nothing to do with the state. So, you know, I think whether it's Josh or Ige or whoever it is that's making this happen, you know, if they were honest, I think people could be more respectful. I think if they were just plain out honest, but to come out and say we not going to support the Kauai mayor's bill because of the pressure it puts on the testing capacity, that's, trust me, that's a lie, because they know that's not the case. And I think, Angela, that's where I have reached the end of my rope, where, you know, if you're going to be, just tell us what it is. Just tell us. I mean, I think the
Right.
lieutenant governor, to his credit, did say uh, that the whole reason we're going down this road is because we need to increase the number of visitors that come to Hawaii. It's no
Yes,
secret anymore.
right.
You
But
cannot camouflage that anymore. That's the reality. They have set the priority.
and and there
And
is a big problem with that because we're not
absolutely,
ready. And
absolutely.
here's my guess. Um, the guess is that the hotel industry is hurting, and the resorts and hotels need to get back to work, and they're starting to recall people. And there was no coordination in this as far as marketing to the local people. They need to market to the local people, because what's going to happen is these visitors are going to come off the plane, and local people are not going to treat them nice because they're fed up. They're fed up because they've been in the zoo for so long, and everybody's been gallivanting around breaking quarantine, and they see everybody else playing in the water except for them. Who wouldn't be angry? Okay.
And so
But
let me ask you a question, because it's directly related to what you just said, and maybe you, because we've tried, and I've seen the media at the press conferences try as well. But why doesn't the governor and the lieutenant governor allow the same um, provision for visitors of this one test 72 hours before travel to to escape to Hawaii without a quarantine, but they refuse to do it for the inner island local residents? I, I mean, the media
that's
asked them twice.
that's discrimination.
He avoided it the first time, but and all he said was that he doesn't want the virus to leave Oahu, and which absolutely makes no sense, because the virus from the mainland is just as dangerous as the virus that they have on Oahu. But I was hoping that maybe you had heard something from your connections of why he chooses to continue to penalize the local residents and not let us travel with the same
I
uh,
suspect, I
accommodations
suspect,
as the.
I suspect it's because the mayors don't. He probably wants them all to be on the same page, because he did say they could operate individually, but I think that that's not working. And it's kind of like my way or the highway. And the tourism industry is struggling. But when you've got, this is true now. I don't know if I should share this.
Yes, you have to.
When you have a hotel worker who went on vacation to the mainland and they just returned, the hotels are now making callbacks. If you know what callbacks is, you've been laid off, they'll call you, you have to be available. This person is a hotel worker. They went to the mainland, they came back, they wanted to be a good person and quarantine. They got a call back. Hey, sorry, boss, you know what? I was on the mainland. I got a quarantine 2 weeks, you know. Screw it. You got to come into work or you're going to lose your job. I'm not joking. We have a person that was told that they should come to work instead of quarantine. And that's dangerous. I've always had in every conversation how safe we need to be for hotel workers. They have said, we have a plan, we'll release the plan, we're blah, blah, blah. I think it was Friday, I got a one of the email blasts from HTA or one of the tourism organizations saying, asking for ideas. I've had ideas for months. Nobody's listened to me. There's no marketing, there's no nothing. It should have happened 6 months ago. And it was piss poor planning, and now we're suffering. And now you've got hotels that want to open, and you've got hotel workers who don't want to be there unless they're safe. They don't want to be on a floor and have to deal with somebody that might be positive, and they go home to a 4-generation home where kupuna are there and they could infect them. They are just so scared. There is no social distancing in hotels when you have to clean rooms and do things like that, and to interact with people and have to talk to people and be in an elevator 2 feet away from somebody. You've got a hotel industry that's ready to open, chomping at the bit. You've got workers as scared as hell pushing back. And you've got airlines that are offering the test, but not the whole ball of wax that we need, you know? And then the airlines are already adding in all the flights and people are getting excited. And I saw a comment the other day from a friend that I love very dear and works in the tourism industry. And they're our best friends. And we always promised that we would never let this get in the way of our friendship. Because they're such responsible people that they carried their employees for the last 6 months. And they were very pono and they didn't break the rules and they kept their employees going. But as soon as this news came out, one of the people of the two said, we got to go, we got to do this. And I saw a comment that said, one of the Kapu breakers commented and said, why are you guys doing this? I'm like, leave him alone, that's my friend. And the friend answered and said, COVID didn't come here from tourists, it came from locals. And you know what? We may have a high community spread, but it came on an airplane. It came on an airplane from another country here, and it continued to come in from other places and travel. So my mascara is running. I get black circles.
You know that Hawaii News Now will pick up on this and play it tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock in the news. You know that, right?
It's okay. They're my friends. They'll make me look good. So, you know, it's there's so many variables to this, but every person that lands on a plane that could potentially be sick can infect a group of people in our community. So it really isn't just locals. No, it's tourists. And yes, locals have been bad. Ha is the breath of life. That's what we know. We gather, we congregate, we give hone hone. You know, we do all those things. That's part of us. And we're learning to do that at a distance, and it's very hard. But to say that the locals brought it here, no way, no how. The first guy that was at Straub Medical Center was a guy from the UK who lived here part-time and who was here on vacation, and he was the first patient. And that's why my doctor said, you cannot go to the hospital. We have patients starting to come in and I don't want you here. And I had to figure out how to take care of myself at home without having to go to being admitted to the hospital, because everyone in my healthcare team knows that I have medical knowledge. And they said to me, Angela, if you know how to take care of yourself and we can guide you and we can get you on camera, you stay at home. You're the safest place that you can be, because a hospital right now is not for you. So it is a combination of both, but it came off of an airplane here. It started on an airplane, and that's what we all have to remember. And we can't we cannot get lazy with that. People, when you're in a closed area, you should have a mask on. You should have a visor on top of the mask. Visor is not enough. Dr. D says visor is not enough. You need to cover your mouth. And the visor is for your eyes, because your eyes are primary, right? Especially those of us who have contact lenses. Charlie, you good? You got glasses. They fit real good tight. That's good. But you know, this whole thing has divided us. You know, I know when it's over, we're gonna hug each other and everything's gonna be fine, because my friends have always said that doesn't matter what you believe in. When it's over, we're friends. It doesn't matter. It's the way I am. But we just have to remember that it did come on a plane. It did. And now we have to deal with it. You know, we have to deal with it.
Well, you know, I kind of like refocus. I talked to Mel about this the other night. I tell everybody now, they ask me, I said, number one, the virus needs a host carrier. If it doesn't have that carrier, it goes nowhere.
Right. It's a
So
vector.
yeah. So just fortunately or unfortunately, you become that carrier. So whether you know if you have it or not, you err on the side of caution. I mean, that's because if you
Pretend like you have it.
yeah, if you think of you know, just listening to Fauci, De Wolf, you know, DeWorkin, everybody, they even our good friend Brian Ingalls, you know, because he does a lot of numbers, and the numbers don't lie. You know, I was sharing with Mel, you know, when you're a traffic officer and you got this laser and you got to go to court and you explain, if I'm in the middle of a circle and there's a car 30 yards out from me and the car goes at 90 miles an hour around me, how fast is the car going? It's going to register 0 because the distance has not increased or decreased from where you're standing, because that's how the laser works. So is with this virus. If you stand by yourself and you just don't get close to anybody, you can't give it to anybody. But I see a lot of people, they have a hard time understanding that because, like you said, as local people, we want to get close. We like honey, we want to do it. But now is the time that we got to use extreme caution. And until such time, you're absolutely sure that your bubble, like it's only my wife and I at home. So wherever we go, as much as even our children, because they live on Oahu, if they were to come back, we will not let them in the house because we don't know who their friends are, because it's that bubble. And we're at that bubble, you know, we're at that age, 60 and above. So, you know, we have to take that position. So now what do we do? Well, I can tell you right now, I had a lengthy talk with Brian Ingalls today, and it's all about behavior modification. You got to modify your behavior in order for this thing to work. So I think, you know, everybody knows how I feel about the LG because, you know, we had parted our ways, but it's okay. It's okay. We just be civil about it.
Yep.
But he made this bold movement, and I applaud him for that, and that is to mandate the mask. And, you know, people say, you know, what the hell are they going to do that for? I'll tell you the reason why. It's been proven that the mask can cut out pretty much it all.
The mask works.
But if you don't want to listen, and if it takes a mandate to kill this virus right now, then so be it. And that's why I keep telling everybody. Derek said it before. I'm going to give you the leeway, but if you take advantage, I'll take it away just like that. He made it perfectly clear to everybody. So what did we do? We listened, and it worked. But now we're looking on a larger scale. What do we do? Unfortunately, the lieutenant governor has to pull the trigger on this, and he wants to mandate mass usage. Because why? If you give people, grown adults, the ability to work together and just do what should be done, a lot of them will take advantage. Says, no, I don't need to do them, and that's the problem. That's the problem. You got a large number of people that says, I don't care. That's my rights. I don't need to wear a mask.
He's doing it because it's the only thing that he has right now, because he can't. He claims he can't get the test. And even Dr. Char, I known Dr. Char to my news days and my Straub days. She said it. She wants 2 tests. But if you can't do that, you got to do plan B until the tests come. I want the two-test system. Okay, in my testimony, I did research. All these island countries, they all do the two-test system. Aruba, Finland, Iceland. What were the others I had on the list? Costa Rica. All these places, they do the two-test system and it's worked for them. And in fact, Iceland got into huge trouble. They are a big tourism draw. And their numbers were like us, were really low. They went down to no community spread, zero. They did so well. Okay. Once that happened, they opened back up. What happened? Travel. People started coming in. And as soon as people started coming in, the numbers went up. They call them seeds. Those seeds were planted. That caused clusters. Those clusters led to community spread. And now what are they going to do? Well, just a couple of weeks ago, they went to the two-test system. So now we'll have to see in a couple of weeks how they're doing. I'm going to tell you something. The numbers are already inching up here on Oahu. I know that. You may not see you may not see that on the dashboard yet, but I'm hearing behind the scenes from the emergency departments, the EDs. And I know one hospital that had a lot of patients today that won't be on the record probably until Monday. So
And I'm hearing the same thing, and and I think that's the other part of this that frustrates people is, who do you trust? How can you trust the numbers? The numbers really dictate, especially like for Honolulu and hopefully for Kauai once the governor approves the new plan. But everything is based on that number. Everything is based on what the Department of Health reports, and yet, you get conflicting reports. I know I got friends that work in the hospital.
Yeah, same with mine. That's where I'm getting my information from too.
And they're telling me that there's a ton of COVID patients
Yep.
that are in the hospitals.
They're about 60% full. Some of the hospitals are 60%.
And we're not even this is the problem that I see. And we talk about the mask mandate, and that's all fine and dandy. I mean, yes, I think the lieutenant governor now is trying to do anything he can to restore his reputation and integrity, because I think so many people are upset. But you can come out with a mask mandate. You can come out with all these laws and rules and whatever. But the reality is this: we have speeding laws, we have drunk driving laws.
People still do it.
Every so often, somebody will get drunk and speed and crash and die, and they may kill someone else. God forbid, they get into an accident, they kill someone else. Now, the difference is that once that accident happens, the damage is done.
Right.
It's done. People get hurt, people die, but that it ends.
Yep.
Now with COVID, you get a bunch of people that go to a house party, and it's all friends and family. And trust me, if you have Facebook, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
All the photos.
We chased them.
So all of a sudden, they're not wearing their mask. So this is my deal. You pass the laws, whatever. Okay, you will never get 100% compliance. The problem with COVID is, unlike a traffic accident, which all the damage and the death and the injuries are isolated to one specific event, with COVID, the damage, the injury, and the death goes beyond, and it grows exponentially because of exposure.
It's planting a seed, and it's
difference. Yeah. So, granted, good for you. You want to go, Governor? You want, Lieutenant Governor? You want to go pass a mask mandate? Not everybody's going to listen, and they're not listening now. And unfortunately, it could be at that restaurant that the visitors are at. It could be at the movie theater. It could be in the airplane. Wherever that exposure is made, from that moment on, you don't have control of that virus anymore. It's not an accident scene anymore. It's done. The accident scene, police come, they clean them up, everybody, the road is open and everything is okay. It's safe. Yep. Not with COVID. And I think that is what the lieutenant governor going to understand, is that we cannot be reactive to COVID. We cannot be reactive to COVID. We have to be proactive. We got to stop it, or stop, at least as best we can, stop the risk of this virus getting to our shores. That's it. And yes, I understand people are posting about the local people passing them. Yes, but it comes from somewhere. We're adding more fuel to the fire when we allow, when we open up the visitor
The,
industry.
the embers are being fanned. The embers are being
Absolutely.
fanned, and the flames are starting to build. So
Absolutely.
that's really what it is.
I always say this real quickly. I always say, you know what? Let us take care of the numbers first before we add any more numbers.
You
We
know
cannot
what?
take if we cannot take care of that now. It's like a baby, right? You can only feed them so much before you come full. Don't keep on bringing. Hey, wait until supper time. No need to try shove breakfast, lunch, and dinner all at one setting. Just wait. Let them get full before we bring in some more. And I'm not saying that we block it off. I'm saying just let's do it safely.
And what did Governor say in the beginning and Josh say in the beginning? Slowly. We're not going to just open the big doors, right? So this is a grand reopening for Hawaii. And where are we 6 days away? We don't have a marketing plan for the local people to accept it. Nothing. We don't have videos and brochures at the airport or on the plane to educate them on why we're so skittish about this whole thing here. We we don't have the materials to assist the hotels to say this is what you do when they come in, and this is the consistent messaging for every hotel. There needs to be a quarantine hotel because there's going to be people who don't want to quarantine, and they all need to be in the same place. And Les and I also said TVRs do not work in this situation. I'm all for retirees making money and being able to have a renter. It's more stable if you've got month to month, but the people who are coming and are going to break quarantine cannot be in a temporary vacation rental. Everybody needs to be in the same place, because what's happening when you bring them into a TVR in a community is you have community spread because they're coming and going. And number two, that leaves no affordable housing for the people who are hurting. Makes no sense. And why didn't, I'm still stuck on this, that $33 million that went to HPD to buy all these non-COVID things, things that don't deal with keeping track of COVID. Actually, there's some other, other things that I didn't quite understand how it fits. And I realized when you get the money, you got to try to spend it, but why not say, hey, maybe the AG's office needs this 5 million or 1 million that we could give, or hey, maybe we could do 10 million and order those tests really early, because back in May, and I posted this on Kapu Breakers, what was it, May 18, Josh Green said his whole plan was testing, second test. It was basically all that we're talking about now. That's what we originally heard. And so we're all continuing to go on it. But he was ready to roll it out then, and it never happened. Nobody listened to him.
Yeah, that the whole testing argument really pisses me off. The whole thing about, again, and trust me, I have been in politics for a long time. I have been on the side where people, your constituents, ask you why, and most of the time there is a valid reason that things are happening. But in this case, when this all started, the governor, lieutenant governor, and all of these guys kept harping on the importance of testing, that we had to test. And then you tell us, sorry, we just don't have tests. But then you see article after article after article after commercial after commercial. We all have, if you have any kind of mileage account with any airlines, you getting those emails of the special fares from these airlines traveling to exotic places. You get the Facebook ads about these special deals. And we are all seeing these airlines one by one show us how easy it is to get tests. That within the last 2 weeks, and I still believe some of these executives had a little clue early on, but nonetheless, whether it's Hawaiian, United, Alaska, all of these airlines now,
they got them and Hawaii didn't.
They all got tests. So how do you explain this to a constituent when they're saying, hey, governor, lieutenant governor, you guys keep talking about tests, but everyone else, no one else has a problem with testing. No one else in this country has a problem with getting tests. So the bottom line is they don't want to test. They don't want our numbers to rise. We have a very high infectious or positivity rate in Hawaii. We
Did you
do.
know that we're the lowest to test the lowest per capita testing in the country? Did you know that?
I know we had that record. I haven't checked it in about a month, but I know that we historically have been either the last or second to the last. That much I do know. So this is the deal, right? Right now we had what we had today, Charlie, 100 and what? 100 and okay, you're muted. 155, whatever it was.
155.
Okay,
155.
Yeah,
so
155, which is high. That's high. We're getting up
but
to
remember
200
now,
now by Tuesday.
that is based on a very low number of testing.
Right.
So
there's more.
if we tested like we should be testing, those numbers may very well be 300.
Yep.
And that is why I think the people get upset is because you can control this simply by allowing how many people get the test. I still get complaints as of yesterday that people are going to the doctor and not getting a test because they don't have enough symptoms. That's still happening.
So that was me on March. So I developed the symptoms March 6th by evening. I was getting tired, and then by Saturday I went to urgent care. They said that I had really bad respiratory whatever. I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even get a word out. There was nothing left. I couldn't breathe. So I did that. She gave me cough medicine. No, she gave me an inhaler. And Sunday I went to the ER. They gave me cough medicine. And they wouldn't give me a test. And I'm gonna tell a secret that only Mahealani Richardson knows. I complained to her and I said, if I can't get a test, everybody else can't get a test. And I think it was Monday or Tuesday of that March 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. I said, well, I'll speak, but you got to black out my face. And basically what I said, and I looked for it today, it's not on their website, so I'll have to go find out what happened to the story. But my statement in there was, why does it have to take an act of Congress for me to get a test for COVID-19? And then I went to the urgent care because I got a tip from Mahia that said, hey, go out there. They're just starting the testing. They didn't know what they were doing. They swabbed me wrong. They only went barely inside my nostril. So, everything was new back then, but we're still having the same issues, banging our head up against the wall over and over and over. That's insanity, right? That's the definition of insanity.
You know what? I get a hard time just today. I was just looking at this. The batch, yesterday's batch was at 12:49, but it says as of 10/6/20, and yesterday was October 8th. So that yesterday was 101. You jump one day later, and and the positivity rate yesterday was 6.6. You jump one day later, you increase at 155, but today's positivity rate is at 2.5. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's horrific. I mean, and that has always been an issue.
Yep.
That has always been an issue to accuracy. And one of the things Kauai does is once the county of Kauai gets notified of a positive, they issue a press release. So sometimes our numbers will not match with the state numbers because the state releases theirs early in the morning, and it doesn't pick up on the tests. Bottom line is not accurate. It's not accurate. And when you're dealing with this, and when you're making decisions based on numbers, you need to be accurate. It needs to be accurate every day. That the reporting mechanism all has to be consistent every day, because you're basing decisions and actions on numbers. So it's difficult when you cannot, when every day is a different. I know this, and every doctor has confirmed the fact that our positivity rate is high. So like anything else, right? If you just increase the number, you're going to see a higher number of positives, and because it's proportionate. It's proportionate, right? So if we did if we did 1,000 tests.
There's another variable that comes into play, and that's healthcare workers. We don't know. They get tested like twice, 2 or 3 times a week. Some of them that are, in the higher areas where they have more contact with people with COVID positive patients, but they get tested a lot. Like if you're a doctor, you get tested every second or third day. you would wish that for someone else who's exposed, like an airline worker, or, you know, being on an airplane or whatnot. There's such a complicated sensitivity. And I had this conversation with Dr. DeWolf Miller, and he said to me, I said, you know, our doc wants my husband to get tested. He was exposed 2 days ago. He's like, oh no, not until Tuesday or Wednesday. But his doctor wanted him to get tested today. His test is definitely going to come back negative because it's not enough time. So you're playing this game of wait and see. But we're doing good. We're separated. If we come into contact anywhere beyond 6 feet, anywhere in the house, I got my shield. Where's my mask? I got my mask, both on, and he is as well, because we just don't want to take any chances. But I don't think there's a whole lot of people that would do that. Our apartment's not that big, very tiny, so we have to. There's nowhere else to go. But it's,
Well, you know, Charlie and I talked about this today, and we've been talking about this for a while. That we hope that, you know, we know a lot of people watch this show. We know a lot of decision makers watch this show, and we really hope that some of that CARES monies can be directed to the Attorney General's office. Hopefully, some of those funds can be used to make your organization part of, you know, and really legitimize it by funding your organization, so we can actually pay you to do your work that you're doing, and give you the resources and the tools. And I mean this because there's been a lot of work so far, and it's not going to get any easier come October 15th. The easy solution for this governor to do in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, when the numbers start rising, is to just shut down the state. He will have no choice.
No, and it's gonna shut down by November. Yeah, it's gonna.
I mean, it's gonna take a little while, because they're gonna play it out. They're gonna try to address the positive cases. They're gonna try and do what they can to isolate the virus. But as you keep adding those embers, as you call it, into the fire, it's gonna get out of control real quick. And that's been, you know, verified or speculated on by every medical doctor that's come on our show. So it's not going to get any better. They're going to need help. And your suggestion about hiring the retired police officers, doing these things that we can get boots on the ground, and you got to pay them. I'm sorry, you have to pay these people. Volunteerism is great, but at some point people get burnt out too, and
I'm burning out. I don't have a job. You know, I'm burning out. You know,
we all are. I gotta be honest with you, man. You know, I tell you, Charlie and I, if this was a one-man show, I would have ended it. I could never do this if Charlie wasn't there to help motivate me every day, and I'm sure Charlie feels the same way. This is not easy to do, and I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just saying we got a tough job ahead.
You know what it
on
is?
Oahu especially.
You need the energy, and how do you get the energy? Right here. Right here. You see that?
I don't have my peanut butter cups. You know, I've done keto for like 12, 13 years. And during this stress time, I have eaten sugar. So I have some peanut butter cups. They're just not here. And I can't have the husband bring it to me. So
this is my energy right here. This is my energy. It's nice coffee. And then I cannot really show you this, Charlie, but this, can you guys see that? I don't want it to spill.
Is that what is that?
Oh, is that mango? No, that is granola and mandarin and yogurt.
This is tangerine. Right? This is that Tangelos.
Tangelos. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little, right? The little tangerines. What do you call them?
The kind. Oh. It's the kind. You know.
Oh, sorry. But anyway, Charlie.
Oh, the small tangerines. They call that tiny tangerine.
This is Wailua granola.
Wow.
Local, because we buy local here.
You know, I'm gonna tell you this, and you folks might not know this, but you know these Snickers? This is only from the Waimea Big Save on Kauai.
You know that the packaging smells different there, right? You pick it up, it's like, it smells like the store.
No. How do you know that this is from the Waimea? Because this was the last one on the shelf. That's how I know this is from the Waimea Big C.
They saved it for you. You know, I like putting them in the freezer. My dad used to eat Oh, nice, nice.
Isn't that pretty
My
cool?
my dad used to eat Snickers and Dr. Pepper. That was his thing. Yeah. But hey, I know we're getting probably on time, but I'm gonna make a plea here. If there's any city, state, or tourism official, I'm gonna ask you something. Please come up with a marketing plan. I'll help you. That's what I do. That's what I did for hospitals. It has to have health information. It has to be in different languages. There has to be communication before when they check in at with to get their tickets and put their luggage. It has to be there. It has to be when they get to the gate. There has to be information. When they get on the plane, give them information about why we're so hyped up about coronavirus and our history with pandemics. It's interesting. People will find it interesting what happened with Captain Cook, what happened in the 1900s in Chinatown, and the Black Plague came in, and the health department put a couple buildings on fire and pretty much ruined all of Chinatown in Honolulu. Please put that information on the plane, and then make sure when they land that there is a brochure in every possible language, or even, hey, at the hospital we have translators. We have a phone, we call that phone's got a service, they have a translator there any time of the day or night. Get them on the phone, you get translated. So easy. And then you got, the cell phone, so easy. You can do the translator app, it can speak for you. Get those rack cards, get those brochures, so that when that person leaves the airport, they have it in their hand and they're not going to forget, and it's going to go on the door of their hotel room or their fridge or whatever. And then tourism industry, Hawaii, are you listening to me? You need to market to local people to be willing to accept these tourists back. If not, going to be like this, right? By November, everything's going to be chaos, and all these people waiting for their jobs, it's going to be shut down, and then we're going to start all over again. If we don't do these little measures until we get those tests, we have to do what we can in order to make it work and stay safe.
I mean, let me just tell you real quick. One of the Kauai resort bubble hotels, one of the employees called me up one day and said this was like the day after it went into effect, that there was a guest that came from the mainland, had no idea about the resort bubble, didn't realize that he had to quarantine, turned right around, went back to the airport, and went back home. And that tells me that we're not there. There is no marketing plan. There is no communication. There is absolutely zero efforts other than to welcome people back because we're open.
Reactive,
In fact,
reactive. That's reactive. As a good
can I tell
marketer,
you?
you do more than that.
I heard on one of the conferences in the morning, the press conferences, where one of the representatives from the HLTA said, "We are working our butts off." This is the exact words. We are working our
Have they
butts
talked to
off.
any of us on the ground? They're
No,
not working their butts off if they
no,
haven't
no.
talked
Let me,
to
let
us
me
on the
finish the
ground.
state. Let me finish the sentence. He says, "We are working our butts off to get the word out to our friends on the mainland that Hawaii is open." And that is the message, Angela. That is the message that they are paying their millions and millions and
It
millions
doesn't work
marketing
like that.
dollars to
You've got
only
to
let
make
them know that we're open. That's it.
You've got to
And
make Ho'oponopono. You know what Ho'oponopono? Does anybody listening, us watching us today, does everybody know what Ho'oponopono is? You make it right. Pono means righteous, to make right. You've got to work on both sides in order to make Ho'oponopono, to have the guests feel welcome and have the hosts want them here. And if we have another shutdown, which it's going to happen November, December, it's going to happen if we don't have more than one test.
This is what happened, and I kept on contemplating this morning what I would report on it, but I didn't. One, the news media, I did a post that showed something that the mayor, as an example, that the mayor had said something, which they took it out of context and they put it real brief. So if you're one of those that just peruse off of the headlines and really don't go into the the detail of the body of the article, you would never know that that's not true. So it's like with this October 15th, they minimize and they splash it all over news media and the mainland. Hawaii opens October 15th. That's all they said. They don't say anything else. They wait until you get to the airport. Then it's explained, oh, you know that you have to take a pre-test. It's not mandatory, but it's suggested if you want to bypass the 14-day quarantine. Well, the person's already at the airport. So he says, well, can I take a test now? Well, if you take a test now, by the time you reach Oahu, the results should get there. If you're negative, it should get there. So now here comes the million-dollar question. If I'm the traveler and you're telling me this at the airport, say at LAX, and I'm coming in, okay, I'm going to go to Oahu first. Where am I going to get my test result? Where can I go pick it up? Because I really don't want to spend 14 days. If I can get out of that, if I have a negative, I should get out of it. Okay, it may come in a day or so, but where? Then we're told it's going to go on an app. Okay, fine. I get a call from the hotels up here. They said, Uncle Charlie, how do we know if somebody took a test or not? You're supposed to have the app. Did you guys see the app? No.
There is no app.
Yeah. Well, it was told that, that Safe Travels app, the one that the so-called the $1 million boo-boo app.
That's a Google platform. And the reason why they got that was because it allows them to be able to take in the mass amount of forms digitally because they've got nowhere to store it in the cloud. And anything else wouldn't accept the thousands and thousands of applications that people are bringing as they're coming in. There's going to be a point when there's going to be 35,000 of those digital forms, and the system cannot handle it. But if they would have done it right and done some homework and talked to some of us on the ground, which nobody did, it was easy because back in the old days, we'd have meetings that people would show up and they'd give testimony at the Capitol and we get things resolved. But now they just have meetings and nobody can get there, and you don't know what's going on because we're not gathering anymore. We can't.
But that's what the hotel people are saying.
Yeah, nobody knows. We're not going to know who's positive and negative.
That's just one hotel.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about Kauai. What about
everybody that I talk to asked me, how are you guys going to know? The news people, all my former colleagues, how are you going to know? Well, they should all be in the same hotel because you can't keep track of people all over the place. It's a safety net. It's for their security. I know that we did have people who were here visiting, quarantining, and they didn't feel well. And nobody heard from them for a few days. And they went and checked on them and they were gone because there was nobody there to take care of them. They got COVID. They got sick. They got too late and they gone, passed away. They need to be in a place where they can call for help if they need it. Not in a TVR in the middle of North Shore where they can't get close to a hospital and they don't know who to call and they're scared because they broke quarantine. You got to think of all these scenarios,
Well, I just what I did was I'm trying to find I've just pulled up the Aloha Later campaign. You remember the Aloha Later campaign?
While you're looking up, I'm going to say something here as far as media is concerned. When we're in media and something big's happening, like a big grand opening, we have a press junket, right? All the news reporters show up, they get a packet. The leader, the governor, or some spokesperson gets up and talks about it. During this time that we've had in the last 7 months, what state official has gone on national news to talk about what's happening here? Anybody?
State official?
National news. See, like, has the governor or
The
lieutenant governor?
The lieutenant governor was on. I saw him on a couple of times.
Way back, like in
A
May,
long time
right?
ago, yeah, when he was still doing the right thing.
That's when the disaster was kind of happening. And now we're trying to pick up the pieces and make things right. So why not in this last 2 weeks before we go live? Why not has anybody been on national news saying, we're trying, we're having some issues. Please come if you think you can quarantine because maybe this, maybe that. I mean, hey, just lay it out on the line and let people know. You know what? HNN did a really great thing. They interviewed Peter Greenberg, the go-to travel guru. He does all the travel stuff all over the place. And they got a one-on-one interview with him via satellite. And he said to people, if you don't have to go to Hawaii, please don't go because they're still trying to straighten everything out. Wait until they get everything together so you don't have to be stuck in a hotel room. Somebody could have said that. Somebody from Hawaii could have said that. There's been no updates. The only updates they see are in the national newspapers of this lady trying to catch quarantine breakers. You know? And that's not the kind of news they need to hear when we're trying to reach the end. No, this is just the beginning. That's why. Yeah, it's just.
Well, I just posted the link for that YouTube video on Aloha Later. That's a 1 hour show that they put up on the one night, and it had all the stars and celebrities and all of that telling their friends on the mainland not to come until the virus was gone. That program was just another dog and pony show, but share
Couple
the
breakers.
video, share it.
Couple breakers did that too. Couple breakers did that too. We did my hele mai. It's now is not the time to come, right? My hele mai, and all these people like Natalie Ai Kamau, Kapena, they're my friends. I worked with them when I was on the news, and all I had to do is send them a message and say, hey, could you please, because I know you guys do music in Waikiki and I know you want to perform again, but could you please do this song for us or say something? And they did. But we're not a big entity. We were just 1,000, 400, 500,000 people back then. It takes a real effort for that kind of marketing plan to get off, and it's just not happening. They need to work on the locals. They need to work on the tourists. Both. It needs to happen. Ho'oponopono, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, we are a little late. Sorry, I just had catch one comment about someone just had text me that K2N reported approving the second test. So I got excited and was thinking maybe it was for Kauai, but that was for the Big Island. And we already spoke of that. We already talked about that. They did approve, the governor did approve Mayor Harry Kim's request for a second test. However, it does not, it still exempts them from the quarantine. So they'll take a test, they'll get to go free. If they get a positive result, then Big Island got to go track them down. They'll call Angela for go send her people out for go track this person down somewhere in the Big Island.
I have some relatives that are watching. Hi, Jessica. On the mainland.
There's a lot of people.
You know, it's hard for people. It's really hard for people to fathom what is going on here. And because we're surrounded by water and we don't have enough hospital beds and we don't have enough physicians and nurses and we don't have enough testing and we don't have enough medication, it could go to hell in a handbasket very, very, very fast. And I can tell you that this week, my friends, medical staff who are in the hospitals got messages from all of the higher ups at all the hospitals saying, we are prepared. It's going to happen. They're prepared. The hospitals are being ready for a massive cases and serious stuff going on. They're announcing it to their employees to be prepared, and that they're telling them. And the good thing is that the hospitals are preparing as best as possible. When we had that first wave when it first started, which really wasn't a full-on wave, I think this time it's going to be worse. The hospitals have had some time to prepare, and they're the one entity that I think is now being proactive and not reactive.
Well, Dr. Capono was on last night, and you know, we know that the state flew in a bunch of nurses.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people. Initially, we thought that it was to in preparation of the increase, the wave that's going to come, but no, it's not. It's to deal with some shortages now. It's to deal with when exposure happens by our healthcare professionals, they need to go on quarantine. So we got to backfill with these traveling nurses. And we know now, and I just got a text from one of my friends that the as you mentioned earlier, the hospitals are pretty full already, and we haven't even opened the doors yet.
Yep.
So we're gonna have some issues, and
Brace yourselves, everybody. Brace yourselves. You
so
know, I was
anyway,
supposed to be I
go
was
ahead.
supposed to be in I was supposed to be in Nebraska this week. So I rescheduled my trip. It's scheduled for November, so we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm gonna get to go then, but it's okay. We got to do what we got
Yeah,
to do.
I mean, it's so inconvenience. And again, I mean, my kids live in Oregon. We haven't seen them in a while. I'm not letting them come here, getting on a plane. I'm not flying up there. Uh, and I can't imagine anybody. And I know somebody gonna get offended when I say this, but all of us local residents, I mean, I bet many of us cannot wait to go to Vegas and go travel. Now is not the time to travel. Let's all do our part. Let's all do our part and stay home, stay put, and protect ourselves. That's just how what we gotta do for now, because we don't know what's gonna happen come October 15th. Dr. Capono said last night, if the lieutenant governor is right, then we all win. We all win. But he's the only guy that is saying that it's the right thing to do, and all the other medical experts are saying no. So I tend to rely on the advice of medical experts, and I'm worried. I am. So, but we got to do our part. We got to do our part.
Yeah.
So, closing comments. What can we do? I know you mentioned the talk about, but really for Hawaii quarantine breakers,
But
as
for
we
us,
approach, what can we all do to help in this fight?
now is the time to really reach out to anybody that state lawmakers, city council, the council, city councils, the counties are listening. They're listening. They're with us, and I think that's really important. And I caution all of our 6,500 members. Many of them message me. The ones that are close friends I can handle, but when I get what do I do when I get to the airport and what did this and what, I can't answer those questions because right now I'm mobilizing. I'm meeting with the state auditor. I'm meeting with all these different people because that right now, as we said in the beginning, would I go after one Kapu breaker right now? Or would I rather try to get some laws and provisions and be proactive in place so that when October 15 comes, we have a safety net in place? That's the way I got to think. So for those of you who are waiting for reports that need to be, please help us. You can do the work too. You have to have your eyes and your ears and send the information and call the AG's office, the Attorney General's office. Tell them what you know. Tell them you're part of Couple Breakers and that you want to help. And Angela's really bogged down. What can I do? And if you've got the information, it can't be on social media. It has to be a witness. You've got to have photos and video. Then you can send it to them. But I need everybody's patience, and we got to focus, and we've got to talk to the powers that be to do whatever we can to make sure that when October 15 comes on, that we're ready and we're prepared and do whatever we can do to, be careful and be safe.
Charlie, I'm amazed at how the sun is still up there in Waimea. It's kind of dark here in Wailua, but the wind is nice and cool. The waves are breaking, and
Well, I mean, it was rude of me to lean back. I was just basking in the surf. You see, it's just a comfortable.
Watch out,
But
you're going to drown. I saw you
but
disappear.
uh,
You got really skinny for a second. It almost disappeared.
but I forgot my floaty at home, so got nothing to float with. But
Well,
anyway, as always, Mel,
your hair
I
stays
like
really
to.
nice. Your hair stays really nice. You don't get any flyaways. You must have some good hairspray. Sorry.
Yeah, it's called shellac. I like to say big mahalo to Angela for joining us again. And it's always a pleasure to listen to what she has in a hopper and what needs to be done. But it's all for the same goal we want to achieve. But to our viewers again, we inform and educate. One thing I said it last night, and I'll say it again: we can coexist with this virus. It can be done, but we just have to be careful because if not, and we have those in power that when they get that knee-jerk reaction. They pull that trigger. We go for a third shutdown. It will be an economic doomsday, and that's I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all.
That's the main reason why I'm doing this too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just have to be careful, and we can if we minimize because even if you do catch the virus, and I don't want to sound nonchalant about it, let's contain. Let's do our part. Today we found out, right, Mel? We found out contact trace is getting hard time because they cannot
Yep.
even call a person. Okay, that shouldn't be. They're experiencing the same problems they experienced at the H3 tunnel when they never put all the information on each sample, and that's why those samples got mixed up. Come on, there is no excuse for that.
Can
Let's
I
get
tell you
stuff over.
something? What
Go ahead.
when
Go
you
ahead.
mentioned the H3, how many thousands of people were there? How many thousands of people got tested on the H3? Do you remember? Do you guys remember a couple
But
like
they use a number 55,000.
okay, 55,000. Okay, we can mobilize 55,000 people, shut down the H3, put up a line of cars for 3 days, but we cannot fix what's going on at the airport to make sure that people are coming in safe. I think that that was the wrong place to put our efforts looking back on it. So that's my say.
So so everybody understands we can coexist, but just not be in a position that to cause on shutdown. And like I said before, and you've said it many times too, Mel. We got to be target specific, right? You want outbreak in Makaha, let's confine it in Makaha or Haleiwa, wherever it is at. But no, you want outbreak in Haleiwa and go shut down Hawaii Kai. No make sense. Okay, we gotta keep things open, but we gotta be smart about it, and we gotta be safe. That's the bottom line. Mel,
Thanks, Angela, again. Thanks for your work, what you guys are doing out there. I mean, it's just it's a
Hey,
huge
you're doing
task.
it too. You're doing
Uh,
it too. We're a team.
yeah, we are. We're a team, and
Let's
is
see some hearts for these guys. Come on, put the hearts on. I don't see any hearts flying.
we're
Anyway, sorry.
we 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 worry about the 15. We've been worried for a while, and we just that train is gonna go, and we got to do our part. I keep saying that we got to do our part, our individual part, and it's frustrating, like you said about the whole testing thing, and the fact that the excuse after excuse after excuse about why we cannot. We know that the lieutenant governor said himself that if we require a second test, people won't come. That's so basically we're giving up the health and safety of our people, of our residents, in return for a much larger number of visitors coming in uh, to spend money. And I think that's the wrong choice. I think that's the wrong option, but that's the option that they have taken. We gotta live with that. So we gotta take care of ourselves. It's frustrating. Contact tracing is not it's not in place. It's not in place. We know that. We saw that last night on the news. We heard from the contact tracer. We're not ready. We're simply not ready. And that's the logistical part of it. Now, that's just the logistical part. Then you have the what I call the hardware part of it. Like on Kauai, 9 ICU beds, 14 ventilators. I don't give a damn how many contact tracers you have. I don't give a damn how many tests you give. We only have 9 ICU beds. That
See,
is when you think about it, it's scary. It is
if
scary.
you are in Indianola, Nebraska or McCook, Nebraska, and there are no ICU beds left, you can get a quick plane ride to Omaha or to Lincoln. You can't do that here. There is no other place. We have no neighboring states. I'm just making it, making something up that people don't understand.
But
Yeah.
that's not making them up. That's the reality of it. I mean, if Honolulu is at 60, 70% already, and the people even haven't come, uh, I don't see a good ending to this, and I worry. I really am genuinely afraid of what's going to happen, and I pray that God stays with us and watches over us and protects us because we're gonna need His help because it ain't gonna work. So anyway, sorry for that religious moment, but I tell
No,
you,
it's okay.
prayer
Totally
helps,
okay.
man. Prayer helps, and we're not gonna do this with the leadership that we have right now. We're not, and so thank you all, guys and gals, and
Page's
what
background. Your
you
mic's
muted.
off. Your mic.
In
Oh,
San Francisco.
we can always dream, can't we?
That was
Oh,
real
yes.
quick. That was real quick.
I think the
Well,
skies are a bit hazy right now there, though.
no, that's why I took the pre-test and I just flew to San Francisco. There you go.
Well, tell everybody in San Francisco we said hello, Charlie. Angela, send our love to everybody on Oahu. We hope your husband gets better. Hope he
Negative.
gets through this
Let's
all
hope
right.
for a negative test.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
likewise for you. You guys be safe up there. Tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, 7 o'clock. Do not miss it. Yep, put your mask on, put your shield on. And most importantly, everybody, stay safe. Protect you guys selves. Start planning now for next week. Start planning now for next week. All right. So everybody take care. God bless. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks, Angela.
Bye. We'll see you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.